Let's make sure. Do. Okay. Hello, you guys. Just making sure this thing is on, which it is on. Awesome. Grand Rising. Good morning. Hello. Thank you for coming in. Give you guys a few seconds to get it situated before we get started with today's day 11. Before we get started, get it on popping. All right. Welcome. This is Tahiri Divine. You can find me on all my social sites as Tahiri Divine. Grand Rising. Hello, Black Women Dark Matter. Hello, Erica. Grand Rising. I am so happy to be with you guys. So again, this is Tahiri Divine, also known as Diana, the Metaphysical Midwife. You can find me on all my social sites as Tahiri Divine, where we are not just the teacher, but we're also the student, because we are here to learn and expand and grow and apply practical wisdom to the up-leveling of our life, physically, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, for the transcendence of ourselves and humanity. So I'm happy to be here with you guys today. This is day 11, grace and peace. Hello. This is day 11 on the power of prayer. Today, we are going to be discussing leadership. Okay, leadership. We are ensuring that we are praying for the right leadership. And when we talk about leadership, I'm not necessarily just meaning somebody outside of you when it comes to having a leader. We're talking about building up and strengthening up our own inner leadership, our inner leader, right? The part within ourselves that takes charge and move forward and make decisions in our life to help better our life. So we're talking about our inner leadership. And there will be times within our journey where we will have leaders or teachers, and recognizing that we are praying or attracting, manifesting the right type of people to guide us. I don't want to use the word lead, but guide, because there's always going to be guides within our journey. There's mentorship that is taking place within our journey. I want to get into this conversation as it pertains to spirituality, right? Spirituality is a lifestyle. It's not something we do because it's trendy. It's not something that we do or we practice because we use it as escapism. That's not what spirituality is, or tapping into the flow of spirit is not. It's not to be used as a tool to escape. And when we, as coming into this concept of leadership, we have to be cognizant within ourselves and where we are allowing ourselves to be led and who we allow to be our guide. We have to build up our intuition, which is to be very much important as being a leader, is having resonance with your own intuition, because your intuition never fails you. Yes, your intuition never fails you. It's your inner compass to let you know if this is right for you, if this is wrong for you. And what I have seen in my time in this space, I have seen many teachers come up and many teachers fall or leave. And within that, these people who have placed themselves as teachers, that's why I'm very cognizant of not just calling myself a teacher. I'm a student just as much as I am a teacher, and understanding that this is a constant ebb and flow. But to prop myself up as saying I am your teacher, I don't do that. No one is your teacher. You are your own teacher. It is, who we choose to guide us at a particular time in our life, and that's where we have to be aware of who we are allowing leadership or headship over our own lives, right? So when I say this, teachers have come and they have gone, we have to be very clear on what our intention is when we follow people. And I that's why careful I just say not to say follow, because none of us are followers, we're all leaders. But we have to understand there's a time to be led and there's a time to lead. And using our wisdom, our inner compass to know resonance with spirits or with people, entities. So I say all that to say is that when you are in your journey of your lifestyle, of your practice, of your spiritual practice, this is where it's going to be pertinent for you to understand that you are the leader in your own spiritual walk, and to take full accountability of yourself and not use other people or practices or even entities as an excuse for not having control over yourself. Now, where are we getting with this? Let's see. I always thought there was wisdom and leadership in the multitude of counsel. How can one be a leader if we all need a spiritual guide to get rid of negative and toxic things in our life? I always thought there was wisdom and leadership in the multitude of counsel. Yeah, counsel. Okay, counsel. Yeah. No, there's definitely no. Counsel is one thing. Allowing somebody to be your leader in your life, or to be the leader of your spirituality or your spiritual journey, that is what I'm saying is which we want to be mindful of, because you're your own leader. Now, there will be people that will come as you said, as counsel and as wise counsel. That is what you use, wise counsel. But as far as somebody telling you this is how you need to live your life and you need to do it this way under this, that is something I say we want to be aware of who we're allowing to give that type of control in our life, our spiritual life, our personal life. As for example, would you allow somebody to take full leadership over your finances? You know, you're working, you're doing your business, you're doing your job, and then you get your paycheck or you get, your payout from your business. Would you allow someone else to tell you, okay, yeah, you made this money, but I'm only going to give you this amount of dollars a day? Well, you can kind of say we do that with banks, but it's the same concept. Do you want to lead and guide yourself? You have counsel who can give you wisdom, or are you going to allow somebody to take full control of your money and tell you how to use it? That's the concept I want us to kind of understand when it talks about leading ourselves and recognizing when to have counsel in your circle. So yeah, definitely that it takes wisdom, and I'm not against that. I'm totally for that. I'm want to bring awareness to the concept of following people, whether it's someone like myself, whether it's somebody else on YouTube, or another spiritual leader or guru, or somebody who has placed themselves as a spiritual leader or guru. We want to make sure there's resonance there, and not to put our trust in any people. Your trust should always be in yourself and your higher power, and recognize that there will be people who will come along to help give guidance along your journey. But again, we don't want to get so consumed with a particular person or an identity or an archetype of a person, and then when they switch up or they change or they have an awakening to something else, get disappointed about their journey. So it's always about recognizing when there is intersectionality of journeys and when journeys need to go separate ways. So that is something I would want us to be aware about when we talk about having leaders in our life. Well, where are they leading you to? That's an important question to ask. And what is your intent for this leader? And what is this leader's intent for you? If you decide to have a leadership outside yourself. This conversation was sparked by a recent video of a YouTuber that I followed some years back. This particular person has went a different path, and I totally respect that. As you guys know, Gemini is currently the North Node. So finding your own personal truth is going to be the theme within the next 2 years. So with that, we want to ensure that we are implementing our own personal truths. And also, it's also how we are in service to our truth. It's one thing of establishing your personal truth. How are you in service? How is that part of your daily life? How is your truth, your personal truth, implemented in your daily life, in your interactions of life, right? So right now, my daily truth or my personal truth is prayer, the power of prayer. I truly believe in the power of prayer. I don't believe the prayer is limited to any particular religious sect or spiritual section. It is a universal practice. It's a universal law that how we communicate with the divine. So that's part of my daily practice. And I share this with you all. And if you resonate with that, that becomes something that you practice in your life and you implement, right? And so we want to always have a prayer, a hedge of protection for our mental space, for our heart space, our chakra, just all our chakra systems in general, so that we are allowing the right energy light codes to come in, and that we're emanating, the highest of ourselves, and recognizing that the polarities of both ourselves. But I want to get into talking about spirituality being used as escapism. I shared a story when I first started to work with deities. The first deity I attempted to want to work with was an Orisha Oshun. And I was doing a lot of internet research on Oshun, and I was trying to really connect with this deity, right? And trying to connect with this deity, it was just not happening. I just was not feeling welcomed. I wasn't feeling shunned either. I wasn't feeling anything dark about it. It was not resonating with me. Long story short, I actually had to go through a different entity before I could even work with Oshun's energy. And typically what I've recognized when it comes into the goddess talk, I'm going to stick with the goddesses for a second, that when we want to tap into these goddesses, typically from what I perceive is that we only see the love and light side of these goddesses. And we look at the Oshuns and the Isis and these very fertility and love goddesses, love and beauty goddesses, and not recognize that these love and beauty goddesses are also, they're more than just being beautiful, putting on your makeup or feeling your feminine woes or rubbing yourself down with oils and being pampered and, what we consider to be a feminine goddess type and archetype or energy, that we limit the goddesses to just that, without recognizing that these love goddesses are also war goddesses. They're goddesses of war, love, and war. And that there is a dark side that we have to face within the archetypical goddess. Because she, in order for her to be a love goddess, she has to know that she's a warrior as well, a spiritual warrior. And we have to utilize both polarities of these goddesses and not just limit it to what we consider to be love and light and airiness. No, there's a warrior that Oshun represents. There's a warrior spirit of Yemaya. There's a warrior spirit of Oya and Isis or Aset, Neith, Aphrodite, Athena, Diana. There is another side to these goddesses that recognize war. And warfare doesn't look exactly the way we may perceive. We may perceive war being a masculine thing, which war is a masculine part. There is a masculine part of war that is going to be very physical. But there's also a part of war that is more mental and spiritual warriors. And in order to face your dark side, the parts of ourselves that we suppress, the part of ourselves that we think is unlovable, those inner demons, that's where the goddesses come into play, so that you can use that as you utilize the tools and the wisdom of these said goddesses or entities to combat and have victory in your own life, in your own darkness, so that you can be whole in both sides of yourself, your light self and your dark self, and neither one is taking over. You are able to flow naturally between who you are. I was just thinking about this subject the other day. People freak out when someone that they follow switches up. They freak out like Doreen Virtue. Exactly. Doreen Virtue became Christian. Another popular YouTube just came out, and she is a follower of Yahweh. And, none of these things are bad. Spirituality is not a one set path, right? Your spirituality journey just may lead you into a religion. Your spiritual journey may lead you out of religion, may lead you to the cult. Whatever your spiritual journey is, it's for you. It's not for anybody else. So again, we have to recognize people who come up as leaders, right? That, again, are they a leader because they're claiming to be a leader, or are you placing them as leadership in your life? That is where we have to have a boundaries placed and wisdom. I've always say tap into your own wisdom. And when you do that, you were able to recognize where your wisdom starts and where your wisdom ends. For myself, I know where my wisdom starts and where my wisdom ends. And where my wisdom ends is where I go to the other women or brothers and sisters who have the wisdom that I may not have as of yet, right? That's taking leadership over your life, is recognizing what you do know and being aware of what you don't know, and connecting with the right people to help guide you to know what you need to know or learn, right? So that is what we have to detach from attaching ourselves to people or to personality types and thinking that people are going to save us, or thinking that some entity is going to. I see this happen a lot. We expect an entity to save us. People start working with entities without recognizing there is a spiritual system. Okay, you don't. This is one thing I don't do. I don't recommend working with deities. I'm gonna be very clear. I don't recommend working with deities. Anybody who ever asks me what deity should I work with, I always say you should work with yourself before you work with angels, ancestors, deities, or any kind of spirits, guides. Deal with yourself first. Because if you don't know yourself, you will be taken over by these entities. And I want people to be aware these entities and ancestors are you. They're fragments of who you are or expressions of who you are. However, if you don't have a basis of the secure groundedness of who you are first, before you invite these spirits, they will take over you because you don't know who you are. Do you know who you are? Okay. For those who've seen Black is King, spoiler alert for those who haven't seen it, so I'm just gonna I'm gonna give you guys a spoiler. There was a scene where the little boy got derailed off his trail, right? A little monkey got his attention, got him derailed off his path, and he goes into this dark space, if you want to call it that. And the man with the snake around him, which snakes actually represent transformation into your higher form. And the man was asking him, "Who are you?" And the little boy didn't know. And this happens to us in our own spiritual journey, that we will get derailed off our path by getting interested in something or think we have an affinity to something, or somebody else may be leading us somewhere. And we will implement ourselves in something that we don't have full understanding of. So that's why I don't recommend deities. I recognize that deities are real, spirits are real, but I don't recommend them. I always recommend starting with who you are first. And that's why I recommend my workbook, which is a nice starting point to getting to the core value of who you are. Because once you can start with your core value of who you are, you can build on that. So if you want to get that, I'll make sure I leave the links in the description for you guys on YouTube. And then it's in my bio for those who are on Instagram. You can download the free workbook. But I always recommend starting with yourself first before you start inviting these other entities and spiritual systems and practices. Because again, there is a divine order to how something's done. And it's more than just, oh, well, I feel connected that I'm a daughter of Oshun, so I'm going to start doing Oshun altar. No, if I will highly advise going through an Orisha, Priestess, Babalawo, go through, if you are being called to these particular religions or gods or goddesses, go the right way. That is okay. Having guidance is one thing, and knowing a system is one thing. Know a system and know a thing before you step into it. That's with a Hindu practice. That's within a Kemetic practice. I know we're in this age of being self-taught, which is great, but we also have to recognize when we need counsel, because we can tap into things that we don't have full understanding of, and then have these moments, or think that we're being attacked by demons, or think we're being attacked by these evil spirits, when in actuality, it's because we're tapping into parts of ourselves that we don't have full understanding with, and we don't know. And so that's just something to be very aware of. And yeah, so that's one thing. But do you guys have any questions or comments or additions you guys want to add to this commentary of leadership and how that applies either in your life or how you could recognize seeing that in your spiritual walk? Hey guys, I see you guys are coming in. Hello. Savage. Yeah. But okay. But that's really what I want to hone in today, is talking about leadership. praying for your right mind, being in your right mind, and not just following people because they have a personality type that you like. We don't want to be fooled by those type of things, or open ourselves up to be fooled or misled or misguided. That is definitely, especially in this times. I was sharing with you guys about that black and white challenge that was going around last week, and let's see, do you have advice on finding a Babylao? Yeah, if you are interested in the Orisha system, I do know a priestess, and I can definitely direct you to her. I will message you her information. That she's someone that I worked with, and so again, depending on what tradition, if you were into the more I'll send you her information, and you go and you seek from your spirit if you feel like she's someone you want to work with. But I do know some really good priestesses, honorable people who are really about that life that I would definitely refer you to. Yes. Awesome. Let's see. Let me see if there's something else I want to probably add to that leadership conversation. Yeah, lead yourself or be led astray. In these times, I was talking about the times, the black and white challenge that was taking place last week. I know a lot of times we see these challenges that come up on social media, and we want to jump on these things. I always go into a mode of caution or awareness before doing anything, because we have to recognize spiritual warfare. Spiritual warfare is real. Let me just keep it a buck. Spiritual warfare is real. And there will be these pop-ups of events or challenges that may pop up as a way to derail us from our path without us recognizing it. And it can come in the most slickest ways. And if we are not cognizant, aware of how the enemy, and the enemy is just the inner me, there's a war that's taking place in the spiritual realms. It's a war between the lower parts of the divine masculine and the lower part of the divine feminine. And those entities are at war with each other. And those entities is really our inner selves at war with each other. The feminine and the masculine has been at war with each other for quite some time. And we're in a phase or time in our epoch right now where the divine feminine, who has been dormant or sleeping, where she is awakening. And the lower part of the feminine and the lower part of the masculine doesn't want that. The very base part of it doesn't want that, because it will lose its power and its control. But we need the divine feminine to rise to her higher self, so that the divine masculine should be in his higher self, because we've both been stuck in our lower forms. And it's been causing quite some hellish events to take place in our experiences in this world. A lot of suppression, a lot of oppression, and that it's a shifting that's taking place. And if we're not aware and cognizant of this and not stepping into our personal truths that we know to be true for ourselves, we can definitely get washed up in this wave that's coming. Do you believe race is significant in this war? And what were you saying about black and white challenge? Oh yeah, there was a black and white challenge for women to post a picture of themselves in black and white as a way to. It was started as a way to be in solidarity to the women in Turkey, or the Turkish women who were being murdered or experiencing femicide. And so the women who were murdered in that country, they were posted in a black and white picture to say that these are the women that were murdered. And so the challenge had asked women, or was charging women, living women, to post a black and white filter on themselves. And in doing so, you were pretty much, it was a spiritual way or a ritual of sorts to saying that you are dead, spiritually dead. Because again, this was for women this filter was used for women that were murdered. And living women posting this as in solidarity, that is a psyop to place death symbolically over yourself. So you may not symbolically, physically die, but there could be a symbolic death in your finances, in your relationships. It can come any way. But we have to be cognizant of how these snares and traps can come up, and it can put itself as something good. But really, it's really detrimental. And this is right when Venus is coming out of her retrograde, and Venus is on her rise right now. So we have to be very aware of what's the planets are telling the story, but we're also living out the story too. Also, people have to remember that spirituality is trendy, and a lot of people are getting into it. Exactly. A lot of people are really getting into spirituality for the money. And spirituality is, this is the thing. You know, the money system or fiat currency is called spiritualities. So money and spirituality is going to be a money, not I'm not talking about fiat, but just money in general, the currency of what we use to spend and exert our energy forward with. That is definitely in tie with your spirituality. So how abundant you are in your spiritual life is going to reflect the abundance in your physical life, because neither one are separate from each other. They're the same. Hey, J Money, how you doing? Okay, I'm gonna say, do you believe race is significant in this war? Yes and no. And I wanted to say race is a non-factor. However, it's been used as a factor on why people cannot come together. But race is a non-factor. Race is a social construct. Race does not exist. If we want to separate ourselves or have identifiers for humanity, the best way to do that is through blood types or blood groups, I should say. If we want to, not separate ourselves, but identify ourselves as something, I would recommend it through blood groups, because the truth is in the blood. But race is being used as a ploy, as a tactic, but it's not a real thing. It has real consequences because we believe in it and we apply it to phenotypes. But yeah, that's the race card there. I'm glad to hear you're doing good, J Money. That's what's up. That's what's up. I am doing very well, very well. But let's see how much time we have. Awesome. So we've been on here for about a good 25 minutes. Do you guys have anything you guys want to add to the leadership conversation? I'd definitely like to hear what you guys, where you guys are resonating at and where you guys are at. Awesome. Well, all right. I am happy to be here with you all. Thank you guys for rocking out with me on these 30 days of the power of prayer in our life. Our take-home message here is that you are the leader of your own life. You are definitely going to be the one that's accountable for your spiritual journey, because when you go into account for yourself on the other side of have you lived your life to the best of your ability, it's not going to be based on, well, this person I was following or that person that I followed. It's going to be you. So self-accountability, self-realization, self-actualization starts with self. All right, guys. Thank you guys for coming in with me, rocking it out with me. I will see you guys tomorrow for the power of prayer. All right. You guys have a good one.